Yes. The one that picked you up and threw you
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
room?
fine.
Yeah, okay, I remember
To prove a point one time, he was, had an entire bottle of whiskey and taken LSD.
Oh,
And it was at the end of the night. It was about 2:00 in the morning, and Buddy was like, he kept like slowly pouring gasoline onto the fire to like make, and he had a mohawk at the time, and he goes, and the guy goes, hey, you should just throw the gas can on there.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, I missed that. I was really curious.
And he goes, no, you idiot, it'll fucking explode. And he goes, and the other guy goes, no, it won't. And he goes, oh yeah, fucking watch. And he threw the gas can on the fire. The fucking thing blew up.
It's like podcasting is one of those things that you sit down and you're so stressed about it, and then you start and you're like, oh fuck, this is great. I can talk how I feel, and there's like a space, and it works. I don't know. I really like it. Welcome back to A Gen Z Perspective. Thank you for viewing, listening, and subscribing. If you guys want to find us anywhere on social media, we are now on Spotify and YouTube, and you can check out our Instagram in the description below. Please enjoy the episode. Stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's a little different. So do I say that? Do you think I honestly advice? Should I say that the podcast is shifting, or should I just start doing it and just see what happens? Because I'm not really I'm not telling Seth and Troy you guys aren't involved anymore. I want them here. They just don't necessarily seem to prioritize it as much as I want them to.
Well, you don't have to bring Seth and Troy into it. You just say that the focus of the podcast is shifting from the three guys talking to the three guys interviewing a guest. Yeah. Getting their thoughts and opinions.
I think that's way better. I also think that the part of the reason that I want to do that is in this, it doesn't even have to be three guys. It can, in this instance, just you and me, right? But I want to learn more. I think something that I have really noticed in life personally is that at the age that I'm at, I really don't know fucking anything. I really don't. I think I'm smart. I think I have a good grasp of reality, but I'm 18. And when I talk to people in their 20s, people in their 30s, people in their 40s, they tell stories and have these huge life experiences that hopefully one day I'll have, but they just know so much more than I do.
I think, though, you'll find that everyone's always in a constant state of not having figured out their shit. It's just life. You have your problems that you've got to overcome at any given point. And yes, those problems may get more advanced over time, but you still have problems that you need to figure out. Whether it be a random girl that's being a bitch to you, or you have to deal with your wife, or your mother, or whatever.
True. But it's not always going to be just emotional. There's a whole business side of it. There's a whole relationship as in your friends. I mean, obviously, friendships are going to get more complicated as you get older. You say you start a business and you work with your friends. That can get fucking complicated, right? You start a project, whatever it is. Those things will get complicated. But what I mean by somebody older that just knows more, they ask you, how do I say this? I don't know how to weld the framing of a car onto a vehicle. I couldn't get a crap vehicle and just weld it and build it in. But other people can because they have age and experience. So I think that's why I want to change the podcast. I want to be there and bring people on that have experience and can just teach me things.
Yeah, they've actually dealt with the shit rather than just talking about it theoretically.
Yeah, I like theory. I like possibility. I like probability. I like all that stuff. But I think that genuine experience, I think, what do people say? Experience, there's no substitute for experience.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah, right? There's no substitute for experience. And to be honest, I mean, I've traveled to Africa. And that wasn't a vacation, but most of my other traveling has been vacation. And other than that, I've been born and raised on a tiny island, right? You have an experience in another city, Lex. Where are you from?
I'm from just north of Toronto. I grew up in an area called Oakville, slowly moved out to Halton and then Caledon. They're each between 20 and an hour north of Toronto, and it gives you a slightly different perspective. As Nico stated, everyone on the podcast so far, they've grown up on Salt Spring Island, which is this tiny little place in the middle of nowhere that I constantly hate on for just being a rock that's inhabited by hippies. But yeah, growing up in Toronto, you see things from a different perspective, and it's the smallest things like Seth, Nico, everyone keeps hating on me for locking my car every single time I get out of it. It's just force of habit. That's what I've been taught to do growing up.
It's safe though. It is the responsible thing to do, and you should do it. But yeah, you come here, you lock your car when you park into the driveway down the street, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
You fucking walk across the street without looking, and you don't even walk straight across the street.
No.
You walk on a diagonal.
Okay, have you ever looked at a triangle? Did you do like trigonometry, man?
Mm-hmm.
Diagonal is way faster. I don't want to walk this way. I don't want to walk left and then walk right. I'm just gonna cut across and get to where I gotta go.
But that means no.
It's like about timing. It's almost a Darwin thing, but it's not quite a Darwin thing. And I bring that up because that's where we're gonna shift in the conversation later. But I see a car coming, right? I'm like, okay, cool, there's a car. And I time it. And I start walking and the car passes and I'm literally right behind it. And every time, and I haven't been hit yet. Oh, that's not true. I was going to say I haven't been hit yet.
I'm sorry, you've been hit by a car and you're still talking to me about this?
I have been hit by a car, but I wasn't crossing the street.
Oh,
I was
God.
biking. I was biking to go to my friend's birthday party. And I'm biking down and I go around the corner and I whip around the corner and there's just a truck. And it smashes into me because I didn't stop and I didn't look both ways. So, Darwin, have you heard of this?
I know we don't have cameras, but the sheer look of disappointment on my face right now, it's appalling.
It's something else. I know. I get that look a lot, actually, from a lot of my friends. I feel like they look at me and they're like, Nico, he's just disappointing me, man, honestly.
You're something special, we'll put it that way.
I am something special. I think my friend Daphne, she pointed out to me on my ski trip. She said, Nico, I don't know if I believe in a God, but I genuinely think that there's something out there that's just looking over you. You have a guardian angel because you should be dead. And she said that to me, and I said, you know what, I think you're probably right. And then I proceeded to go into a front flip off of a mountain on skis.
Yeah, that sounds just like you.
I did, I know.
I mean, you're complaining about your ankles for about a week after that, but you did the fucking front flip, and it looked beautiful on Instagram, so I will give you that.
It's all about the views. I don't care about my life or my body. As long as I get attention on social media, then I'm happy.
Oh no, you care about your body. I mean, if you've seen your fitness account...
Stop, shut up. That's funny. No, that was a joke, by the way. Fuck Instagram and social media and all that stuff. Gotta love it when you gotta explain jokes just to make sure that you don't get canceled or hated on. It's not important at all. It means nothing. The bigger numbers you get, they don't actually influence your life in any way.
It's so not worth your time, man. Just don't bother with it.
No.
It can be cool to stay up to date with friends. As I said, I moved from Toronto. I can no longer just go see a lot of my friends there. And especially with COVID, I haven't even been able to travel back to say hello. It's been 2 years. So how I keep in touch with them is through social media, and that's one of the greatest uses. But if you're just watching the Kardashians, it's not worth their time. You get nothing out of that other than trying to live someone else's lifestyle, and their lifestyle's been staged.
Well, their lifestyle is staged, but it's also mindless content.
Oh, 100%.
You're essentially rotting your life and brain away by just consuming content that doesn't benefit you in any way. Like, I guess if you could learn something from it, like, have you ever watched one of them? Is there any? No?
No,
okay,
never.
well, I can see there is content, of course, that is valuable to gain, right? Like, you actually learn things. I like podcasts. I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. But unless you really want to learn a new way to do your eyebrows, I would say generally makeup tutorials are probably a waste of time unless you already know how to do it, right? If you don't know how to do it, sure. But, like, there's a lot of meaningless content out there, for sure. Okay, Lex, so you were in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
You moved to Salt Spring. You have told me that you really wish you hadn't. Yeah, at one point, sorry, not that you really wish you hadn't, but at one point you were very, very opposed to the idea of moving to BC.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, quite simply put, I'm a teenager. I had all my friends in Ontario. I didn't know a single fucking person in BC. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I lived closer to the city, so I had amenities. One of the things I did was a martial art called Krav Maga, and that simply doesn't exist out here. There is a single school in all of BC that I know of versus multiple in Toronto. I can't access stuff like that. Then we get to the fact that I'm now living on a small rock, and God, if I had known I'd be living on a small rock during a pandemic, I mean, there's a lot of doing nothing as it is, and yeah, throw
But
in being stuck at home.
about the pandemic thing, I think that it's probably the luckiest thing that could have happened. For if a pandemic is going to hit, there's not really a better place to be experiencing one.
I'll admit that, well, being in the middle of nowhere does have its advantages at times,
Yeah.
but
Right.
still.
Okay, so we've talked about COVID a lot. I'm not really interested in that. It's a thing now. It's something that honestly you have to get reminded it exists at some points. It like you don't, I don't know, especially here. So I don't really want to talk about it too much, but I really want to circle back. You said you didn't want to leave, right? You were super against it because you had a lifestyle and things that you were comfortable with and amenities that you had become. It was a part of your life and you felt comfortable in that lifestyle. You've kind of gotten into your groove, right? Plus, you were what, grade 10? You're going to be going into grade 11. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to leave and restart all over again and have 2 years left of high school, right?
It's scary as shit to start in a new high school. Well, you're not even in grade 9. When I started at Humberview, I didn't know anyone there as well. And one of the benefits I had was that you had, I think it was like 5 different schools merging together. So when I moved in there, you didn't know 80% of the kids as it was. You were just able to connect with new people. But coming here to Salt Spring with GIS, everyone already knows each other and it's a small community. Everybody knows each other. Like,
Yeah.
Seth, if you want to know someone, talk to Seth. If you don't know a girl at a party and you want to talk to her, get Seth. He's the perfect wingman. He knows about her. He knows a few of her interests. He just knows.
I highly debate that topic. I understand that he knows, and I understand he knows everybody, and I understand that he could, if he were to choose, be a perfect wingman. The very key instance there is if he was to choose. Because people who've listened to this podcast and people that know Seth know that it's like flipping a coin with that guy. You might get to hear something, or he might be on like a move where he just wants to fuck your life up, or he just wants to create shit for shit creating sake, right? So he could be, but I honestly think at the end of the day, it's probably better here to just go with your gut and do what you think is best. Get him to introduce you, but don't let him say anything.
The thing about Seth is he's so lighthearted and doesn't have an ounce of seriousness in his body past, well, before 10 p.m. He's really good in that respect because he lightens the situation. I come
Yeah.
off as very serious, so having that burst of enthusiasm really helps.
I think he is your perfect wingman.
Yes.
I think he is your perfect wingman. I'm not gonna lie, unless you're talking about girls grabbing your ass, and then you're in trouble.
Oh god.
Don't worry. By the way, most of this I'm gonna cut out anyways. I haven't even hit an intro. I haven't even said the intro yet, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about your ass drunk is not a smart idea. Why don't we leave it at that?
What do you mean? I do it all the time, but I just make fun of my ass. Because
Yeah.
unlike you, I don't do 400 squats a day.
Man, the last time I did squats was with you.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay, but I also work out different than most people do.
Yeah, you're all body weight and you focus a lot on your upper body and endurance calisthenics. It's rather weird to me considering my background in weightlifting being all the heavy weights. You're going for 8 reps max of the heaviest you can do, trying to build the muscle and the strength.
But have you ever seen one of those videos of try and get a bodybuilder to hang for an hour for a minute and a half?
I have not, but I assume they're funny.
It's really funny. They can't do it.
They've perfected their body in one direction and one direction only. They want to lift the heaviest amount of weight possible. They don't care about doing it twice, 3 times, or 4 times. They don't care about how they look, and they don't care about running a mile. They just want to be able to lift up 100 pounds on whatever, 500 on something. They want the big number. That's all they're chasing. So when you put them out of their comfort zone and then make them do endurance on a muscle they don't really use, of course they're not going to be able to do it. It's not exactly a fair comparison.
But I know it's not a fair comparison, but is it practical?
Oh, no, not whatsoever.
then why? Then why? Like, I understand, like, in some regard, you can lift more if you're trying to, like, a job or some type of thing. You could pick up more than somebody who trains in kinesthetics and cardio and stuff like that. But how does it actually benefit them as a human?
It it doesn't benefit them in the way you would consider practical, like lifting stuff or being able to perform better at your job. Once you get to that point of bodybuilding, you're doing it for you and because you want to be massive and lift those weights. You
Hmm.
do it because you feel good when you get your new personal record and you want to chase new highs. That's the only reason you
Right.
do it.
Right. Okay, so I totally understand that thing. I've said this a couple times. My addiction is moving my body. If I was to say that I'm addicted to any substance in the world, it's the adrenaline and the cardio, like the deep core burn that I get when I do kinesthetic workouts and stuff like that. So you don't have to like I definitely can understand that. My problem with it is functionality. You can People who train at that level of intense fitness, they there is no downside for a survival aspect. So I get it. I get that that's a thing. Like, you can literally go and lift 600 pounds, do 3 reps, then go to work in your suit and it doesn't affect you, right?
Not whatsoever.
But cycling back to, say, we lived in Africa from the evolution of monkeys and chimpanzees and apes, when you had to run to survive, because originally the way that humans came to this planet, we were a type of monkey and we climbed trees, right? You're a giant bodybuilder, you can't do that. There is no tree climbing anymore. There is no elevation anymore. And then the jungles slowly shifted as the climates changed and it turned into savanna territory, which made it so that humans had to learn how to run, had to learn how to run on foot, and that is how we became bipedal. You would go into a case of giant bodybuilder. Do you think you would survive as a giant bodybuilder in that type of era?
No, the thing with bodybuilding is it's not supposed to be practical. If you look at any sort of exercise in its entirety, humans aren't designed to exercise, and in fact, psychologically we don't want to do it. Exercising, yes, it makes you stronger, which can help with survival, but it burns calories, and historically, what you need more is to have the calories. Humans, even the ones we consider really skinny, relatively don't have a lot of weight on them if you compare them to our prehistoric ancestors. So burning those
True.
extra calories, working out to get muscle, it just wasn't something they would do because they needed the food to survive.
You would preserve every ounce of energy that you had,
Hmm.
right? But then it's like, as time moved forward and colonies and cities were built, you see those videos of, like, gladiators, not videos, but photos or sculptures in Greece and Rome and stuff like that. And there's a perceived notion of them being these, like, insanely jacked warriors,
Hmm.
right? Now, is that true?
No, no, they wouldn't have been at that time. You just can't get all those insanely jacked warriors when you're not lifting weights. It's how humans are able to get so big now. And they simply, well, lifting weights didn't come into common practice besides those heavyweight men until the early 1900s after World War II. So, sorry, World War One, my bad.
Yeah.
Uh, it didn't exist. So the modern archetype of the really buff guy did not exist until that point.
Okay, because there's 100% right. We know that there's, like, levels to it,
Mhm.
whereas you have the people on, I don't like, the heaviest body weight living bodybuilding uh, shows or challenges. I don't know. Do you know what they're called?
Not a clue. I don't
Okay,
follow it.
so yeah, exactly. Neither do I. But I know that you have them and they flex a muscle and it's ridiculously defined. Like, you can pull up these videos of these people and they're in the speedos. Magic Mike is a great example, right? They're in this, like, the way that their body is shaped, it almost doesn't look human anymore, right? Because it's so exaggerated. And I do know that back from 1940s to 1950s and all of that time, the idea of training has completely shifted. The way that people work out has completely shifted, and the idea of what is the maximal potential of a human being has completely shifted.
Mhm. You can see this even just by looking at the Olympics and the world records. Humans themselves have not evolved that much in the last 50 years, but you can see each world record getting broken time and time again. We're getting faster and faster and faster. We're jumping higher, we're running longer, and we're just doing everything better. We are perfecting each sport one by one and reaching our peak potential as humans to the point where we already have some humans that can't perform as well as others by nature, given to how high of an echelon we're at.
But that's also because that's humans' inert desire. As a species, we are like we have a desire to push and succeed as a unit, as a group, to like get to the next level and survive and be the best, essentially. Not like individuals want to be the best, but humanity as a whole, we're the only species that has colonized and dominated the entire planet. We are not, there's not the most abundance of human than any other animal, but for some reason we live everywhere. We adapt to every single environment, and we progress evolution. We don't wait for evolution to help us. For instance, we didn't grow fur to survive in the cold. We hunted animals and we made fire,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we taught the skills that we learned, monkey see, monkey do. We taught the skills that we learned to other humans or other, at that time, uh, humanoids or apes or what are they called? Homo sapiens. And then those people that did pick up those talents and skills that we created then survived. And that's how the evolution train of humanity started, right?
We're able to build upon with each generation because that's what makes humans unique is there's if you try and teach an animal something like counting or if you press a lever reward will happen. It's not the same as a human learning. There is cognitive learning and then there's a very specific domain learning. When you're in domain learning, you are learning how to do a specific function to complete a task in a specific situation, nothing more. But if humans, we're able to learn from one situation and apply it to something completely new and novel. That's how we are able to grow and adapt. Combine that with communication skills to be able to pass these traits on, like how to make tools, how to react to a certain situation, and humanity can progress as a species.
Right. So, can you explain? So, you said domain learning. What was the other kind?
Uh, Domain learning, and I actually don't remember the names. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I'm
As
pretty sure it's domain learning.
Okay, so domain learning is the way that we, as humans, as
We're
a species that has developed a higher consciousness, meaning we know of our own existence, right? Is a really good way of putting it. Um,
I wouldn't even put it that way. It's just we're able to learn about one thing and apply it to something else and expand upon it, build upon it, and work with it.
so you're saying that we have a difference because we can critically think and evaluate and have creative thinking processes.
Yeah, I'd sum it up to that,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, so, and that's something that sets us apart from many other animals, right?
Definitely.
We're not considered legitimately. Are we actually? I don't know if this is a false statement. Are we considered the most intelligent animal? Because I was raised to think that we're number two.
I think there are more intelligent animals. However, they have limitations placed on them.
Well,
But
they don't have thumbs.
yeah,
That's pretty useful.
communication, they certainly aren't bipedal, so
Yeah.
they don't have any limbs that they can use. I don't know. Dolphins and elephants seem to come into mind.
I don't. I'm not elephants, but dolphins came to my mind as well as considered the most intelligent, the number one most intelligent, and we're number two. But I don't know. I also have heard since then that that is a falsity. So I might be wrong there. But I think that
You've got to look at brain power versus critical thinking because critical
yeah.
thinking is how we apply our brain power and we've gone and advanced so far forward. Without it, our capacities would be useless.
Exactly, because the original evolution, right, of where there's genetic traits that are dominant and recessive, and then uh, there'll be a mutation in the genetics, and it may be good and it may be bad. If the mutation is bad, then that that person who had the negative mutation will die and will not pass on the gene. But if they had a positive mutation for their survival, then they would most likely survive, right? And then pass the gene on, and then that's how evolution would occur. With humans, we go, oh, well, that takes hundreds of thousands of years. That's too long for us. If you think about 2,000 years and the level of advancement humanity has had in those last 2,000 years, it's mind altering.
Oh yeah. 2,000 years ago, we were praying to rocks. Now we're able to fly into space. We're able to watch screens that are just electronic. I mean, that would be inconceivable. Forget 2,000 years ago, 100 years ago.
100 years ago. The difference from the Industrial Revolution to now is unbelievable. The things that we can do nowadays would be considered magic.
Oh, 100%. There's a quote that sufficiently advanced technology is magic.
Indiscernible from magic.
Oh,
Yes.
there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I know the quote. I know the quote. I really like the quote. I mean, for fuck's sakes, we're talking about recolonizing another planet. And I know this is something that you and I have talked about, but I have been so fascinated with this conversation and this idea, right?
The idea that us little terrestrials would become extraterrestrials and the aliens ourselves is hilarious, but
But it's also inevitable. I think it's inevitable.
eh, I'm inevitable in the long term, yes, but
Yes.
I don't see it happening very quickly.
No.
Part of the problem is you need three things all to work together for space travel under our current system. You need the politicians to fund it, the scientists to dream it up, and the engineers to create it. We don't have a lot of engineers and scientists applied to this because the politicians aren't funding it. There hasn't been a real use for the space race since the 60s when they were doing that in the wake of it wasn't just go to the moon, it was international reputation and I can build a nuclear missile that can fly into outer space and hit you. That's why when the first satellite Sputnik was launched, there was mass hysteria in the US. They were worried because this little tin thing floating through the sky that beeped every so often, it meant that the Soviets could put an ICBM up in the sky.
What's
and
an ICBM?
intercontinental ballistic missile.
Okay. Yeah.
They could put a missile up in the sky and hit the US. They didn't have to just have a warship in the water close enough to land. They could fire it into space. That's what triggered the space race in itself. It has nothing to do with either of the countries caring that much about the moon.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the moon's just a bit of rock. It's not very important.
No, it's just floating there. Well, it is important in some aspect where it has an effect on gravity.
Well, politically, it's irrelevant.
Yes, politically it's irrelevant, but I think that it's really interesting that you brought up the turmoil and the back and forth. I always forget this word, and I don't know why. It's not conviction, but it's like the competition between Russia and the States was the fueling factor to get to the moon, right? It was, like you said, it was reputation that did it. They wanted to be the best. Hey, we're better than Russia. We're better than communism. Try us out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing. And that competition drove humanity to push to something that had been inconceivable even 40 years ago. I mean, when was the first airplane created?
Early 1900s, I believe.
Early 1900s, right? And 60 years later, they're landing on the moon because of the competition created. So we don't have any driving competition like that anymore, though. There is no level of like, let's prove to another country who's best by baiting them to Mars. And I think that that's not going to be the thing that gets us there. I think the thing that's going to get us there is realizing that no matter your race or your culture or your religion, we're all humans, and to get there, we work most powerfully as a unit and a team. So if Russia, China, US, Canada, all of the strongest quote-unquote superpowers actually decided to work together and advance humanity, we would be moving at an exponentially faster rate than we already are.
Oh, 100%. But the problem there is the motivation. There isn't much benefit to going to Mars right now. Yes, you get to set up a colony there, but it's expensive for relatively minimal reward. It's mostly scientific. So no one's going to be applying their money. The entire world right now is struggling with COVID, and governments, but even without COVID, they have to hit their deficit marks because that's just how politics works. You try not to have a deficit, you try and have a surplus so that your voters will re-elect you, but that's not always possible. So spending the amount of money required to go to Mars on a space project to get very little return, it's not going to happen unless they have a reason to do it. And I don't think that's going to happen for a long time.
The only reason that we can possibly think of is that the Earth is dying, but at a rate that is genuinely noticeable. Because right now the Earth is dying, right? Well, sorry, the Earth isn't dying. The Earth is going to be fine. A million years from now, if humanity wipes itself out and they say, oh, the world is ending, the world will still be here. It's just humanity that'll have an issue being on it. But that isn't viewable. We don't see that. We don't see humanity coming to an end, so there is no race to find another place to live, right? And so from what you're saying is I'm thinking that there's two options. There's either we dissolve politics and end all of that insanity, which honestly I think would be a really good fucking idea.
Here we go endorsing anarchy on our podcast.
No. but okay, but you know what I mean. Like Pink Floyd, "Money is the root of all evil." It's an amazing song. It has a really simple message, and it's so true. If we all, as a world, as humanity, like we should have been doing or did at one point to get out of the savannah and get to the place that we are now, work together as a unit, we would achieve so much more. But greed and money and things like that are the only thing that's stopping us, which is incredibly ironic considering we invented those things to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. It really is.
It's really ironic, right? Is that the only thing that's ever stopping us from creating every possible dream that we've ever had is ourselves. Not even individuals, us as humanity is stopping us, right? I don't know. I think that, like,
every nation has their own ideology that they want to work towards. And I think the easiest contrast right now is looking at China and Russia with communism, or the pseudo-communism considering they're capitalists, versus the US and other Western countries. They're trying to advance their own ideology, their own way they think the world should work. And they're incompatible. They're diametrically opposed. So they will run into issues. We're more focused fighting each other than we are advancing ourselves. China has so much capability with their technological sectors, their science. If they paired up with the US, we would be worlds ahead electronically rather than competing. The same goes for so many other things.
Everything in this world. I mean, that's the thing, though, is that we're not going to team up because we want to be better than them. Mm-hmm. We have this innate belief in our country. We are the best. Canada is the best. The US is the best. You live there. It's your hometown. You're playing for your team, right? And that's also kind of inbred into us. If you, again, I've really been fascinated by this topic of like looking at humanity in history and in the past, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, you would be in a colony, in a group, and there would always be a hierarchy, and there would always be, you're fighting for your team versus somebody else's. Always, you're in your clan has this territory, and it's a part of not even humanity, but animal instinct, right? You have bears and cougars and mountain lions and cougars, same thing, but like they have their territory. This is my space. This is my area. You come in here, and I'm gonna fuck you up.
Mm-hmm. And I know you don't want to bring up COVID too much, considering we've already done so much, but one of the special things about COVID is how it's united the world. Everyone, yes, regardless of your country, religion, or ideology, you've got to deal with COVID. It's just everywhere. And it's united the scientific community in a way that we haven't seen since the countries had to unite for World War II. We ended up developing a vaccine for COVID in, 8 months, compared to about 10 years that it normally does. And we did so with a brand new, barely used technology.
And from what we've seen, it works.
Oh yeah, it's 97% effective with the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer biotech.
Biotech, yeah. But that just kind of proves what we're saying, though, is the minute, average, let's say it took 1 year to create the COVID vaccine, just to make it really simple mathematically. A 10 times increase in productivity when the world came together. 10 times. And that was just scientists. Because everybody was doing it. Every single scientist was there trying to figure out this cure.
I do feel that we have to note that governments were obviously a little bit more interested than normal with this project and funding it, but
Yes.
still, the fact we were able to accomplish it that quickly proves what we can do. And it's not even just us as humanity that needs to get together. If a specific country can be, well, the US is a good example. They are so polar divided. Well, yeah, they're
So
polarized.
divided.
If they were able to get together, they are the most capable country on the planet. They can do pretty much whatever they want. Well, when the space race we were talking about started, they were so far behind. Russia had, well, I don't think they had the astronauts up there yet, but there was a series where they had every single achievement you could think of over the US. First astronaut, first female astronaut, first animal in space, first satellite, everything.
So then why did the US win the space race?
Because the US pulled their shit together, they got onto the moon. Because the US, they united themselves. They focused on a singular goal, and they got that goal.
Okay, so I hate to say it, but I gotta ask. You're saying that they were so far behind in all of this stuff. They got their shit together. Did they land on the moon?
Yes, of course they landed on
How
the
do you
moon.
know that?
I mean, we have the video evidence, but
That was
given the fact we're
taped over
talking
by something else that wasn't the actual recording. Come on, man. Haven't you ever listened to Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication?
No, I'm not immersed in 80s culture.
Uh,
Red
fuck
Hot
that.
Chili Peppers.
They're
Really, man?
good. God damn it. But they say, like, that it was made in a Hollywood basement, man.
But it doesn't make sense. The physics on that video work out. If you look at it, they fall at the rate they should because the gravity on the moon, I mean, we all know about the stereotypical astronaut jumping 10 feet at a time. You can't do that on Earth.
You could with some pulley wires.
But it wouldn't be natural. The dust settles in a way that it shouldn't if it were on Earth and whatnot.
I just want to be honest. I don't think that the moon landing was fake. I just wanted to play devil's avocado and see what happened. I was curious because I think it's always good to ask questions about those types of things because it is just like you can't just believe everything you see. So I like to ask questions and just kind of.
Speaking of devil's advocate with planetary bodies, is the Earth flat?
Yes. No. Obviously, the Earth is flat. If it was round, we would fall off of it. And if there was gravity with such a thing, then I'd be short because I would never have gotten bigger than a baby.
So, just in the smallest case that anyone listening to this actually believes the Earth is flat, it can be really hard to imagine the Earth being flat due to its size, and it's a massive ball that we are so small in comparison, it looks fucking flat. Especially if you're in a place like the prairies where you can't see a hill for 100 kilometers. Not that you can see 100 kilometers, but look at the moon. Have you ever seen a flat shadow on the moon from Earth?
No.
No, you see a curved one. It's as simple as that.
Bro, nah, man, it's all the space stuff that they pump into the air. What is that thing called?
Chemtrails?
Yeah, it's chemtrails, man, that's making you see that. I think the flat Earth thing is so bizarre that people actually believe that. I mean, that ideology is so old. Have you ever seen the ocean? Have you seen the ocean before?
I live on a small rock in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
There's an event horizon, right? You look out, and there's a reason that the ocean like a boat will go out and then kind of go below the event horizon, and it's because it's curved. It's because it's curved. And also, there's another thing to think about if you've studied. I mean, it's for some people find it boring, like mathematics, and you think about geometry and shapes. A sphere or a circle is the strongest shape we can relatively think of. There's no loose ends, there's no corners that can break off, there's no fragile points. It's all so centered mass targeted towards one area in the very center. And the way that gravity works, and the way that the planet works, and the way that masses and shapes work is everybody has their center of gravity that pulls everything in towards it. So once something gets large enough, it could not be shaped in anything other than a sphere because all of the force is being compacted into the very center. So it has to be circular.
Actually, scientists have said that it is possible to have non-spherical planets. One of the ones they brought up is a planet that looks a bit like a donut shape. It still fits all of that requirements. You just have the center section missing.
Stop. You're perpetrating the donut planet now.
I mean, I don't think that any actually exists, but it is theoretically possible.
Interesting. But even then, that's still circular.
Yes, it
right?
is.
It is still circular. Although I'm not gonna lie, when somebody said that when someone asked me if the Earth was flat and somebody shouted, "No, it looks like a donut," and they showed me a photo, they showed me a photo of a donut Earth. I kind of died laughing. I mean, I was high as fuck, but it still was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. I think the thing about flat Earth as well is that it kind of shits on a lot of other conspiracies. Because the flat earthers are a real group of people. They do exist. It is a genuine part of our society and culture, which is really sad. But because they exist and people like us and people on social media make so much fun of it, I think it's really interesting. Scientists don't even let the idea exist. If you ask someone who's been to space or someone who studies like space and science and all of that stuff, they don't entertain the idea. They won't even have the conversation with you because they think it's so stupid, which is funny. But the people on the internet, they'll entertain it. We're here to joke around. We want to learn things. We want to mess with people. But the flat Earth shits on other conspiracy theories because I like conspiracy theories, and some of them are really stupid, and some of them are actually, they could be plausible. They're kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're cool stuff. I mean, at one point we thought that the MK Ultra wasn't a real thing. That was a conspiracy theory. Now, it's a proven fact.
Yeah.
The government released the data. They talked about it. They talked about having drugged pregnant women and citizens on acid for up to 8 months straight, just trying to replicate the ideas of mind control. Right? They talked about the mass hallucination in France that happened all at once. Have you heard about that?
I have.
Yeah, where they said it was bread that caused them, and people were like jumping out of windows and stuff.
Oh God.
It's a crazy thing, right? 1 second. We interrupt this program to give you a word from our sponsors. Yerba Mate, one of the best drinks on the market. Nah, I'm fucking kidding with you. I wish Yerba Mate sponsored us. Actually interrupting this because my dad came in through this halfway through the podcast and he said some very interesting and funny stories. Unfortunately, most of them I can't put out onto the web and the internet as video stuff, as it's kind of incriminating, or not really incriminating, but let's just say not podcast friendly. So enjoy what there is. I kept as much as I could so you could get an idea of what the conversation was, but unfortunately I've had to cut out a lot of it, so please go back and enjoy the episode. Yeah, that's awesome. We're talking about MK Ultra right now.
I don't know anything about it.
It's about the government in 40 years ago giving people acid illegal or without telling them, and then doing mind control on them and stuff.
Yeah. Make sure you remind people that they actually started in 1958 recommending that LSD be used as a recreational drug for families to take their kids out to the park.
What?
Originally.
Huh?
Well, we don't know what this does, so our recommendation is that this is a substance that you should take if you go out to play with your kids in the park on a Sunday afternoon.
1958 government was fun.
1950? Yeah, yo, were you telling me that I could do acid in 1958?
Yeah, but then they made it illegal by 1962. So. And did you study up on what happened when they gave it to soldiers?
No, I haven't looked at that yet.
That's really fascinating. I actually have some very interesting books and Rubbermaids that you should read. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we are. But I was gonna say, do you want a microphone?
No. I should probably just collect what I need and go.
Okay.
But the U.S. government gave LSD to soldiers.
Right. Amplify.
potentially amplify or enhance their their performance in the field. And what they found, like clinical studies found, was that soldiers under the influence of LSD chose not to shoot the people that they were supposed to shoot.
Oh, yo. That's fascinating. But
Right?
why?
Because the higher level of awareness that one gets to without freaking out. Soldiers are soldiers. They know what their job is, and then, but if you expose them to new experiences, and they go through a mind fuck. Yeah, this was Florida in 1994, so not not to be not to be repeated, not to be recorded, not to be broadcast to the rest of the public.
Well, I'm actually, this episode is live, so...
You're lying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the magnet roller's right out there.
I know it is.
Okay.
I just thought I'd check in and say hello.
Cool.
Hi, Lex.
Like, by the way, this is why he's coming on an episode at one point, is because it fits into my new thing of, like, wanting to learn things and have people with experiences on.
Oh, we can teach you guys how to make napalm. Anytime.
You want to make self-made explosives? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mentioned to you when you were 14 that I'd be happy to teach you instead of let you guys experiment on your own.
I have actually never thought about making bombs because I almost blew myself up yesterday.
You need to talk to me.
I
know how to make most of them.
I know you do, but I wasn't planning on blowing myself up, okay? It just happened.
Well,
I mixed diesel and gasoline together, and I didn't put enough diesel in, so the fire burned really fast, but not hot.
Kaboom!
And then so I tried again, and I got lazy and just chucked it on, and it fucking exploded, and all of the wind came this way, and there's just a giant ball of fire coming at my face. I burned my hair. I burned all. It was just a full-on thing.
Yeah. Do you remember our friend Eric on Orcas Island?
Yes. The one that picked you up and threw you
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
room?
fine.
Yeah, okay, I remember him.
To prove a point one time, he was, had an entire bottle of whiskey and taken LSD.
Oh,
And it was at the end of the night. It was about 2:00 in the morning. And Buddy was like, he kept like slowly pouring gasoline onto the fire to like make, and he had a mohawk at the time. And he goes, and the guy goes, hey, you should just throw the gas can on there.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, I missed that. I was really curious.
And he goes, no, you idiot, it'll fucking explode. And he goes, and the other guy goes, no, it won't. And he goes, oh yeah, fucking watch. You put the gas can on the fire. The fucking thing blew up.
You gotta go when you start off with the to prove a point. He drank a bottle of whiskey and took LSD tabs, and then to prove a point, he blew himself up.
Yeah, and the dude next to him was an idiot who dared him to do it. Yeah, we may have done some stupid things in our 20s.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like, honestly.
But you're still, because...
I have not 20 yet.
Yeah.
So I don't get, I have to wait 2 years and be intelligent, and then 2 years from now.
Don't give him any ideas. I may have to live with him.
Yeah, he might move in with me at UBC.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good idea. You might be able
No shock collars. Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
No shock collars.
Ball gag and shock collar.
I'll teach him how to use them. I'll invite some girls over and he can figure it out.
The button, didn't he? No, Lex feels awkward all of a sudden.
Just because I've used that before and you haven't doesn't mean I haven't used that before. I'm kidding, but...
I said at the potluck 2 weeks ago, I said ball gag to Rebecca, and she was like, what's that? And everybody everybody around the entire circle went silent because they're all younger, not married, not with kids, and everybody in the entire circle went quiet.
Holy shit.
Yeah, every once in a while I have tendencies towards inappropriate. But if you guys do, if you're serious, if you ever want to learn how to make napalm, it's really fucking cool.
Isn't it just toilet paper and gasoline jelly?
No. No, see, they banned this book a long time ago.
You can still download it. I can't remember the name, but I did at one
The
point.
Anarchist's Cookbook.
Yeah.
It's been banned, and if you download it, you will be on search engine. You will be on, like, CIA files.
Oh, I'm on CIA files.
The
The Anarchist's Cookbook.
Fascinating. I'm gonna look it up. We'll take a look at it.
It's a banned book now because of you know, terrorism, like homegrown terrorism. People.
Yeah.
Adam told me there's been 137 mass shootings already this year in the United States.
God damn.
I like that it's not even news anymore because I haven't heard that until now.
No, I've only heard about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The one in Atlanta recently, the one in Denver, like, but no, there's been people in the U.S. Like, we don't need to be telling these people how to make napalm.
No.
Like,
True. Just for the crazy 18-year-old kids out there that want to...
No, if they want, come take private lessons.
I'm pretty sure they've disproved a lot of stuff in that book, though. I've looked it up, and quite a number of the things in there.
Of course they're telling you that.
Have you tried to do any of the stuff?
No. I downloaded it when I was 14, and I'm not a troublemaker, so...
Wait, what part of... I didn't know that having fun actually meant and that you were a troublemaker.
Oh, it does now. No having fun.
Well,
Sorry.
when you're making napalm, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Depends on what you're throwing it at.
Like a pizza oven wall?
Like a big wall of cinder block that doesn't burn, that isn't attached to the house, that isn't dangerous, and you threw stuff at it, then there's no trouble in this. It's actually just education,
It
right?
may be a safe idea, but my parents have heard napalm, and there's nothing you can do at that point.
What is it?
Well, that's what you don't say.
But what if you miss? Like, I have some pretty shit aim, to be honest, so...
Do you know the biggest problem with Molotov cocktails?
No.
Is young people who have never thrown them before, throw them with the wick up,
Oh, shit.
and the contents
It flies out.
comes out, ignites, and coats them.
Oh, fuck. Wait, so you throw it with the wick down?
Yeah.
Nope.
You float it sideways? Oh, it's like an arrow. You throw it... That's so fucking obvious. Because then all the gravity pushes it to the back of the bottle. All the force of acceleration pushes it to the back of the bottle. That's because in movies, they show them grabbing it by the handle, like by the head of the bottle. And then they throw it like this and it just spins.
No. That's the fastest way to kill you, to like 3rd-degree burn yourself and other people in your environment without ever hitting your target.
But
Okay, so this
wouldn't the
summer is
spinning
gonna be-
motion keep any of the flammable stuff at the bottom?
If it's spinning fast enough, yes. But basically, you grab, like, the wick's here, you grab a hold of the bottom, and you throw it like a football. You throw it like point first, wick first. If you are going to throw it like that, you want to make sure that you have enough spin on it to keep the liquid away from the wick until the wick runs out. Or it, like, hits the ground.
Interesting.
But see, these things need practice. If you've ever seen a riot in Greece, or a riot in Rome, or a riot in the Middle East, like, there's police officers because they know how to deal with these things.
Don't get it. We don't get it.
Y'all don't have any idea how to deal with these things.
This is what I mean by life experience. This is what I mean by life experience. Is when I say I need to change the way that I do this, is because I said it over and over again. I feel like I think I know things. And then I talk to someone 20 years older than me, and I feel like I know nothing at all.
Well
No.
done. You've reached the first steps towards a longer journey.
like these things, like I don't even think about them.
Nice seeing you again.
Love you.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, ping pong? Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm playing Magic all day and then ping pong at nighttime. Life couldn't be better.
Alright, I'll check in with Jacob and Tetsu.
Alright, cool. Peace out.
Bye.
Alright, hey, sorry, we're back. My dad just came in here and, yo, honestly, profound.
Very fucking interesting conversation.
Yeah,
You have fun parents, man.
I know. Why do you think I'm like the way I am? It's all parenting, is the way that I was raised and taught. Like, okay, do you really expect anybody else, actually, would you expect anyone, especially in their 40s, to come in to two kids, they're sitting there having a conversation and talk about riots in Greece, how to throw a Molotov cocktail, how to make napalm?
We're not putting this online, are we?
No, we are, because we're going to tell, it doesn't matter. But, like, do you know what I mean? Where, when I say, like, who the fuck would do that? Like, who else is that relaxed and honest and open about the things that they talk about?
Let's put my answer in perspective. My dad's the stereotypical accountant who never leaves his desk. No one.
Yeah, no, it's different. I think, I respect my dad more than almost any other human being I've met for a couple reasons, but one of them being the sheer amount of knowledge that he has, and also his complete willingness to be 100% honest all the time. When I was 8 to 10 years old, he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "Okay, Nico, there's one thing I'm going to promise you right now, and it's that I'm never going to lie to you." And from that moment on, he's literally never lied to me. He's never lied to me, and that's something, as actually an episode I want to have him on and have conversations with him, because every time I talk to him, I feel more intelligent. I feel smarter and kinder. And actually, the thing that did that most recently is I actually want to talk about it because it can transition into what we're going to say next. But he's teaching at a university right now. He's teaching how to do water agriculture, like work with water on your land and how to make it so that you don't have runoff, you don't have erosion, water is trapped and preserved so that plants grow. He really likes that part of life. He's really into feeding the land. And so he is teaching this class and he's talking about Africa. And they all start asking about colonies and colonialism and enslavement and slavery. And he says, and then they're all having this huge debate, and he goes, "Okay, do you guys want to know the answer?" And they're like, "Yes, of course I want to know the answer." And he says, "All right, ask her this question. What do you think is the most enslaved group of people on this planet, and who has been enslaved for the longest amount of time?" And they answer, and they go Africans, Middle Easterns, Asians, Chinese. And he says, "No, you're wrong. The number one most enslaved group of people on the entire planet is women. They have been enslaved longer than any other race or group since the beginning of humankind. As soon as man said, 'I am stronger than you, and I have more control than you,' they have been second class." And he said this to a group of 25-year-old millennials, while teaching them as their professor. And the fact that he came back and he told me that story, and shivers, genuine shivers, imagining that, because if I was a student and someone did that with me and like was that real and honest about the reality of a situation, it would be profound. I would want to learn every little bit of information I possibly could, and I'm so fucking lucky that that is my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I wish more people were like that. I wish that more people, they weren't on social media saying, "You should do this for human justice rights and social justice rights," and actually just fucking did something about it and were honest.
Yeah, he's very real. He gets to the point. He's honest. That's everything you need. He's never put up a facade. I mean, I don't know your father all too well,
No.
but he's never put up on a facade in the way that makes you think he's just doing this to make it look like he cares. He legitimately does with everything he speaks about.
He's not fake.
Not
He's not
whatsoever.
fake, and that's the best way to put it. And we need more people in this world that are not fake. Because as soon as people start lying and manipulating, the conversation and life becomes so much harder.
Oh God.
So much harder, and it's so easy. We can talk about it with your friend. Lexi, you have you have an experience of this. In your life, you have an experience where lying and changing and some both people acting fake made life so much harder.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. I ended up becoming friends with this one girl a while ago over COVID. I became extremely close with her, chatting a whole ton. And then about 6 months in, things went to shit. Now, what happened to go to shit? I can't actually tell you. And that's the funniest thing about all of this.
I can.
Well, I mean, you can, but she's never told me. She's never communicated, hey, this is how I feel, this is what's going on with me, this is how we can fix it, or anything like that. She just became passive aggressive, and when that happens, there's nothing you can do to solve it.
Scratch that. You can tell me because you just did. That is exactly why it went to shit.
Well, the underlying thing that started the whole
No, no,
snowball.
no, 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 no. That's what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's the unwillingness to be open and communicate. And you will see this happen in every relationship in your future and in my future, between friends and family and girlfriends and boyfriends and everything. It if you do not honestly communicate and are open, the problems will become worse and they will pile on. And that is the reason that I honestly think that that is the reason every single one of my relationships has ended, is because we did not have open communication and we did not talk fluently about how we felt.
Yeah. I'm not going to go as far as to say that any relationship can work as long as there's communication. I believe that some people just don't work together one way or another. They're so opposite that you can't deal with them. Or even like with relationships, you have to be very compatible with them. So if you're not, it doesn't matter if you communicate a whole ton, it's just not going to work out. But there are certain things, like if you do not do them, you're just causing yourself and especially the other world, well, person, a whole world of pain. Not communicating means they're going to be left in the dark. They're wondering what to do, how to do it, what's going on. And if you don't provide them with the tools and the knowledge to know what to do to fix this, they're just going to be in the dark. It doesn't matter how much they try. If you don't work with them, communicate them, and tell them what you're thinking, you're just hurting them and setting
Yes.
yourselves up to fail.
100 fucking %. I'm so glad that you said that because it's so rare for people to actually have that shoved in their face and be like, hey, look, you know what you're doing is hurting this person? Do you understand that? Because I think that's the other thing is it's really, really fucking selfish to lie. It's so selfish. It's literally I'm making something up to make myself feel better. And if you're lying to someone that you say you love or care about, you don't love or care about them. I don't care what you're saying because you're choosing to do this out of self-preservation first. That's what's happening. You are saying I don't want to make myself feel uncomfortable by telling them the actions or the feelings that I have, so I'm going to lie. And then that makes the situation worse and it snowballs and then you have to keep track of the lies that you've done and then you don't know what's happening anymore and everything spirals out of control.
Uh, Going back to the example that you brought up with my friend, when all this first started happening a little while in, I went to her and said, hey, I don't know what's going on. I'm really sorry for what I did because the initial trigger, I mean, it's entirely my fault, but it was blown out of proportion. It is my fault though, 100%. Continuing on, I asked her, I don't know what's going on. Can you tell me and how can we fix this? And her response was just, nothing's going on. I'm busy, that's all. And I'm I really want to believe the best in people and that they're being honest with me, but even I could recognize that was bullshit being thrown in my face. And it didn't get better from there.
Did it make you feel good?
Well, at the time I was kind of iffy whether it was a lie or not, but as it progressed and it became even clearer and clearer it wasn't a lie. Well, it was a lie, sorry. It made me feel awful. Someone I trusted and cared about so much lying to me about a relationship like that. It's
It doesn't feel good. So this is really personal and we've kind of shifted away from what we were talking about before, but I want to go on this more because I think this is really important. So you don't have to answer, but what is it that you felt exactly that made it so hard for you? Because like you've been talking to me about this person for a very long time, about this, not even about this person, but about this dynamic. And the story constantly shifts because at the end of the day, I think that there was a reason that you guys were really good friends. You guys got along and there was something about it that clicked with you guys because you could relate to each other. But then why is that story no longer happening? Why is that relationship no longer happening? What choices were made that kind of took you away from the path of you guys being able to be maybe even lifelong friends?
I It's really hard for me to say with 100% certainty because, as I said previously, she hasn't told me anything. I've had a few conversations with her, and she has said absolutely nothing that can help me out, and that's part of why this isn't much of a friendship anymore. When we first started out, this is once again COVID. It was mostly a virtual relationship, so part of it was we didn't really see each other as we were. We saw each
Mm-hmm.
other as we portrayed ourselves, right? When you're texting, you're not really
Right.
you're not really an honest person to yourself. You're just saying what comes out of your mouth, and then it's been filtered time and time again. So if you
True.
want to look a certain
Especially
way and
you.
believe,
Especially you. When you text, you very even relationships or even conversations, you like go through three self-editing processes before you say what you're gonna say.
oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Right? So you think ahead and you're like, okay, hang on, and then in texting, I'm sure it's even worse.
Oh yes. Uh, I am a really slow texter because I methodically think everything over. I mean, I still have grammatical mistakes because I type it out once, but I have something I want to say and I think it over time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means that she wasn't seeing me in the way that I think I actually am. And one of the things we had a conversation about later when things were already going to shit was we were hanging out due to a project, and she said, damn, if you were like this all the time, Lex, I could actually recommend you to a few of my girlfriends. Now, the fact that I wasn't doing anything different, I was just being me. But she couldn't recognize that because she had such a warped perception of me. And I think that was one of the most key factors. She didn't.
How did that make you feel in the moment when she said that to you?
I was actually dying inside with laughter because it was so stupid. But it also was incredibly shitty because this relationship I've been trying to fix for so fucking long is she doesn't even know who I am in reality,
She
and
doesn't know
that's a negative. Oh, I
she
can't work with that.
she didn't know who you were to begin with. She had an idea of what you painted to start off with, and then maybe she got disappointed, maybe it was just a combination of things. But it's very funny that a side that you see as, hey, this is me, she goes, wow, this is really cool. I like this version of Lex. I could recommend you to girls. And then from your perspective, you're the same fucking dude. A week later, when she goes, you sound you. I don't like the way that you're talking. I don't know. I don't know what she might have done, but you know what I mean. Like
Oh yeah,
same you from your perspective. Nothing's changed. Completely different person from her side.
it's frustrating because it's part of why I don't know what's going on with it. You're just trying to solve a problem. You're being you, and then suddenly she goes from hey, she doesn't even tell me this, being passive aggressive because she's frustrated with you and upset with you and doesn't want to deal with you, to oh hey, I like this guy. I could honestly think about being friends with you at this point. It's fuck, really.
Can I think
I feel like I'm getting a little droning on here
I don't
just
think you
with
are.
anger,
No, no,
but
it's okay. It's okay because I think it's okay for a couple of reasons. One is because every single person listening right now can relate to you in some way.
oh,
I
100%.
promise you, I can relate to you on so many levels hearing this conversation. I can relate to you with multitude of my friends even having that dynamic where because they say this, right? You have three faces. You have the one you show the world, you have the one that you show your close friends, and there's the one that you only show to yourself. Right? The thing is that that number two, there's so many variations, but to you, you think you're always being the same. You think that it's always just you, and you forget that these people that, even if they're your close friends, they cannot read your mind. They cannot come in and truly understand who you are and see that last face.
No.
right? And that's why relationships, like me and my ex, who I loved very much and we got extremely close, we separated based on opinion and because we couldn't provide what we needed and we couldn't communicate properly.
Yeah.
Even though we thought we knew each other better than anybody else in the world, and we probably did. But it doesn't, there's always another level to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And with you droning on about anger, because you're angry, I think that feeling anger about that scenario is completely okay. And that is because anger is a secondary emotion. You never are angry as a base instinct. Anger always comes from something else. And feeling anger is okay, but you are only ever in trouble when you choose to act on that anger.
Mm-hmm.
When you make decisions based out of emotion and anger, that is when you're in trouble. The trick is to feel that emotion, isolate it, understand it, accept it, then react once you have moved on past the holy fuck, what is happening? That fear or flight reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So feeling anger about that is okay. That's acceptable. It's okay to talk about this because that's what this space is for. It's about opening up. It's about being who you are and being able to portray your perspective on life.
Yeah. Anger, I've always found that it's not just you being upset. There's always one specific trigger, and it generally traces back to either pain or feeling like you don't have control over the situation or your just life in general. In this case, with our situation, I'm upset because I feel like I'm out of control in the sense that I can't fix this. I've been trying and trying, but there seems like there's nothing I can do to work with this girl. Regardless of what I do, she shuts me down, she doesn't communicate, and it's just so random. You feel like you have no choice, alternative, or anything.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Of course.
There's a chance that she will listen to this. And I think that before you continue to go on, it might be a really, really good idea to go and talk to her open and honestly, even if you don't think that she cares and she's cut you out completely, because honestly, it will make you feel better and it will also make her feel better in a way, because she might shrug it off and just say no, fuck you. But again, I think that it's really important to be open communicative, and I like that you're saying bring this up here, but I don't know if her hearing it through this is the best idea. I think it would be better if you said it to her face. Don't text her. I think it would be better if you said it to her face.
You know what? You're 100% correct, but this is one of the more frustrating things for me. For those of you that don't know me, I am the type of person that tries to fix everything that they can possibly can. And I have actually had that conversation and used very similar wordings with her months ago. And
well, you're a perfectionist.
Yeah, 100. Just a little bit. I mean, I've been trying to fix it, solve it, and I just can't. But I all told her months ago, I don't know what's going on. You're not communicating with me, and I feel this way. And I mean, obviously, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I, I, I honestly couldn't believe half of what she said, and she didn't say a lot, which is it's sad.
Bro, can I just say, I actually have never seen you be Lex. In the longest time that we've been friends, for I think it's been over a year now, you have never been this openly vulnerable about how you were feeling.
No.
Ever. You don't do it. You don't. You are the type of person who I originally invited on because you are profoundly more intelligent than any other person my age. You are way smarter than I am. You're way smarter than all of my other friends. But it's all data.
Thank you.
It's all data. And you have a way of conveying it and like when you were talking about domain and all of that stuff, I know that you just used a word, but I could not fathom the information that you were saying. Not as in I couldn't understand it, but I could not remember that stuff. I couldn't have that data in the back of my brain and like understand those things. Like, so when we were going to come in here and talk about evolution and talk about human growth and stuff, and I told you that we might touch on emotions, I'm really happy that this is what ended up happening because you need to do it more. And I think everybody needs to do it more, because if people are open and we talk, do you feel better now?
No, not really.
Well, fuck you then. You just ruined my whole point. But god damn it. But like, I feel better for you. Does that make you feel better?
It does.
There you go.
Building off what Nico's saying, I may not have been that vulnerable with him, and I don't have a lot of those conversations where I'm vulnerable unless I need to. People
You
have
just did to a whole lot of people. Well, relatively, but for Salt Spring, a whole lot of people.
yeah, I mean, our entire grad class or something kind of says.
Yeah, there you go.
But working with Nico over the last year and a half has taught me a lot of things. And even if I'm not being vulnerable with him, I've been learning how to be vulnerable by talking to him, working through situations, even if it's through a more analytical perspective. And that's one of the most helpful things that have come out of our workout sessions where we're just chatting and running, or chatting and doing an ungodly number of push-ups and sit-ups.
Thank you. I'm glad that I've been able to help you, because when I said, hey, Lex, come on, let's talk about emotions, you said, you want to invite the robot to talk about emotions? And I was like, maybe that's not a good idea, but let's do it. And we're here, and I'm actually really happy that we did. And I'm really glad that you have found some worth in the knowledge and advice that I've been able to give you. And I hope to everybody, to other people as well, because I think you said you came here and it was a small community and you were scared. But that's the best part about a small community, is that you know everyone, and that sucks, but at the same time, it's the thing that makes us all connected. There would be no world where I would be the same person that I am if it wasn't for the community that I was raised in, right? And I think that's something that you're discovering. You talk about Seth, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
Right? We are so connected, and then because of that, we are so strong because we're so connected. I mean, for goodness sakes, you know what I did today?
What do you do?
So, my old gymnastics coach, when I was a kid, lived on the island my whole life. I've known him forever. I haven't seen him and his family and their kids for a very, very long time. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years. I got a phone call from them a couple of days ago, and they said, hey, Nico, how are you doing? This is our situation. Can you come and help us? And they were like, I'll pay you. I'm happy to pay you. I can't afford your normal rate, but I'll pay you. And I know what has been going on in their family. Their dad, they have 3 kids, a wife, and the dad. And the dad, he got brain cancer. He got really, really bad brain cancer about a couple years ago. And they had just sold their house, bought into a new piece of land that had nothing on it but a forest, and they were living on in a bus. So he has brain cancer, 3 kids, all of which are going through school right now.
That's rough.
It's really hard. It put me into perspective of how grateful I am in my life, but also they are some of the most happy people I've ever met. And their dad, he survived. He went through the surgery, and he's good. He's happy. They're rebuilding their lives. And I went there today, and I chopped firewood for them for 6-7 hours, and no charge, whatever, because that's how they make money this time of year. And right now, he can't do that. He can't do that because of the way his surgery has been going on. His surgery he can't do things that require like shock impact. It'll rattle his brain, so he can't do that. And this time of year, that's how they make money. So I went there and I volunteered my time, and I went to go and help them. And the reason that I did that was because it's nice, and like I feel good that I did it, but at the same time, we are a community. They lived 2 doors down from me when I was growing up on this island. He taught me how to do everything that I can. He's probably saved my life multiple times, because when I got hit by a truck, I knew how to hit the ground and roll and protect my head. So this community that we have, we working together makes it so that we are so much stronger, because we are able to do things for each other and help each other out. And like it almost made me cry to see their 14-year-old son, their 11-year-old son chopping firewood to help pay for their family's thing. They had a chalkboard up that said that they would write down, how can we as a family take one more step forward to building a home? And they write on the chalkboard every day how they can work together as a family so that they will have a home. And it would like completely brought me to tears, and I plan on going every single week, at least once a week, and going up and helping them, because it's something that I think we need to do as a community on this island, is help everybody around. There are so many people here that are suffering right now. And I know I'm going on about this, but it really triggered me in a way and made me feel stuff in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. And so I'm actually going to put the link to their phone number in the description of this podcast, because they're selling firewood here, and if anybody here knows anyone that needs to buy it, please do, because we should be supporting the people in our community as best we can. And so I would like that to be something that I can do on another level of trying to help them by getting their business out here as well.
I'm sorry to hear that, and that's amazing that you're doing it.
It's not, thank you, but it's not about the fact that I'm doing, it's that it should be done. We should be doing that as a community that helps each other out. We should be doing things to help each other, because like we said at the beginning of this podcast, people are strongest when we work together. The things that we can accomplish are incredible when we work together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing else to it. Humans are designed to work as a unit. We are surviving and dominating this planet because we have the ability to work together.
I want to provide some contrast, because I know a lot of our listeners, they live on Salt Spring, and this is all they've ever known. When I grew up in Toronto, I mean, it's Toronto. All of the stereotypes you've heard about them in the big city are true. I may not have been downtown, but I don't remember any of my neighbors' names. I don't think I've met most of my neighbors throughout my life, and I've moved a few times. You just don't have that sense of community. There's no one to support around home. You've got your few friends from school or work or whatever, but Nico's right. The small community helps, and they've actually done the studies with science and math, and those in smaller communities have more contacts and relationships they can rely upon to help them out in times of need.
They also survive longer.
Oh.
Communities that are interconnected, we as a group, the age range for people who they live far, far, far longer.
Really?
Yeah, well, because you have one, emotional and mental support, which, as uncalculatable as that is immeasurably valuable. And you have those connections where, oh, my power went out, can I come over and borrow some candles? Can I, it doesn't matter. It's scientifically proven that people who are in tight-knit communities and have a group of people to support them will survive longer.
Mm-hmm.
And they live longer. And they probably have, in my opinion, probably a better quality of life.
Yeah. As much as I might jokingly complain about Salt Spring and living on a rock in the middle of the ocean, it is a wonderful place in so many aspects, and it goes far beyond the beauty of the island and the ocean. The community here is unlike anything I've ever had before.
Thank you. That actually means a lot to have from someone who originally said to their parents, don't fucking buy property in BC. I don't want to move out of the city. I don't want to go to a small island. And the fact that that's how your mindset has changed with just 1 year.
Yeah.
It means a lot. And I think with that, I'm going to wrap up the episode. That was Lex. That was really fucking good. I'm really glad that you came on. You made me think. And yeah, I hope that you made the people on here think at all. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else you want to say?
Given the one part about relationships is the most emotionally important for me, I just want to say that if you're ever in a situation, please just talk it out with the other person. Say what you're feeling, say what you're thinking. It can be painful and difficult to do, but it is so much more helpful to do it in the end. But that's pretty much it.
Dude, awesome. Good advice. Good last words. That's a Gen Z Perspective, episode 6. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and let us know what you think.